The information I present to you in this video was made possible by EA Game Changers. I took part in a pre-reveal event and had the chance to hear additional game details from the dev team working on BF5. What I'll do for you in this video is try to summarise all the details I know from that event in quick bullet point fashion and all the other details released since that infamous reveal. So if you haven't kept abreast with everything Battlefield 5, stay tuned because I've got you covered. Hey, Pete here, I hope you're keeping well and having a lovely day, and in this video I'm going to hit you with 87 things you need to know about Battlefield 5. This is going to get pretty intense, so buckle up and let's get going. Battlefield 5 is of course going back to World War II, where the franchise actually first began with Battlefield 1942. With BF5 though, DICE is trying to focus on telling the untold and unplayed stories of the Second World War. As I think we saw in that teaser trailer, Battlefield 5 will boast a vibrant, modern, distinct style that will surprise players apparently. Good surprise, bad surprise, I'm going to let you be the judge of that. Battlefield 5 begins during the early part of the Second World War, which DICE is calling the Fall of Europe. Despite the setting, the developers are not aiming to teach history here, and some liberties are definitely being taken in the name of fun and good gameplay. The initial only two factions on offer are going to be the British and Germans. 4 locations have been teased so far: Norway, where the players will fight both the enemy and of course the cold, the French countryside as seen in the trailer, Rotterdam as it's overwhelmed and destroyed, and the North African deserts. DICE embraces the community's varied opinion on maps, with some loving big open spaces and others liking the close quarters content. Battlefield 5 will offer environments that encourage chaos with high tempo, high octane gameplay, while also having larger maps that allow for the epic moments to build up more gradually. As you would hope with any Battlefield game, players will be able to fight on the land, the sea and in the air. With Battlefield 5, DICE is pushing the squad play more than ever before. Though you can still play alone, the game is being developed primarily as a game for groups. DICE has promised that a squad will always be available to players entering the game. In fact, if you enter the game without a squad, it will put you in one. You'll never be forced to play on your own, though going lone wolf is an option if you would prefer to do that. The squads in BF5 will be made up of 4 people. They say that the squad system has been improved to ensure that players always stick with their squad through the matches and are able to talk over VoIP even when in the menus and faced with a loading screen. There will be up to 64 player support as is usual for Battlefield, and once again that will be across all platforms. Conquest, Team Deathmatch and Domination are the confirmed PvP game types so far. Then there's a step up to Battlefield 1's Operations mode called Grand Operations. Grand Operations combines several game modes and maps to make for an epic 45 to 60 minute event. These Grand Operations are split up into several rounds which are being called days. How your team performs on each day will impact the resources available to you in the next one. If you lose on the first day, for example, you may have fewer initial respawns or less ammo supplies on the subsequent day. Rather than stopping on the first day if the attacking team does get beat, Grand Operations will run for the entire duration, and this means that you're guaranteed a full experience every time you play the game mode. If that final day does result in a draw though, the match will be decided with Final Stand mode, and this gives players 1 life and reduced ammo with extreme weather beating down. This is a fight down to the last man standing, with the remaining soldier taking the win for the team, and this really should lead to some very intense encounters. Grand Operations will be limited time experiences as they are rotated out and tweaked with new game modes and rules. DICE is aiming to keep the game mode fresh. You can also expect to see new Battlefield 5 features making their way into Grand Operations before they're used in other modes. To see the latest and greatest content, players will want to be diving into Grand Operations fairly often. Combined Arms is Battlefield's cooperative mode. Yes, the next Battlefield game is going to have a co-op. Group up with 3 other friends and tackle a wide variety of missions populated by enemy bots. DICE also has access to a mission creator, which allows a quick tweaking of the Combined Arms missions, so I think you can expect the missions to be kept fresh and to give you value in returning to the mode once you've completed them once. The Combined Arms co-op mode can be used as a kind of safe haven for newcomers where they can learn the ropes alongside friends. Of course, veterans are also welcome there too. War stories will be returning from Battlefield 1, and these make up BF5's single player component, portraying real and relatable people and setting up some epic scale only in Battlefield moments. One of the war stories will put you in the shoes of a young resistance fighter who is battling to save her family. It's set in Norway in 1943 and it's called Northern Lights. Battlefield 5 will ramp up the destruction once again, taking things even further. Buildings now crack and fall following big explosions and react based on where the blast originated. A rocket that comes through the window and explodes from inside a house will look totally different from a rocket that hits an outside wall and blows up. Fortifications is a massive addition to Battlefield's destruction system. In BF5, players will finally be able to counter destruction by building cover and other items. Maps can still be completely leveled, but now there's an actual opportunity to rebuild a house. DICE is aiming to provide a dynamic sandbox that doesn't just go in one direction. Switching to the toolbox gadget allows players to build sandbags, foxholes, barbed wire, tank stoppers and much more. Destroyed buildings can also be reinforced and used as cover. Fortifications can help players reinforce an objective, and DICE believes that this new gameplay mechanic will offer a lot of potential when it comes to strategic play. PTFO in BF5 and you shall be rewarded. The value of flags is being increased and each flag has a resupply system which can be built using the fortification mechanic. You can also use enemy resupply systems and you can destroy them too. Once destroyed, fortifications can be rebuilt over and over again, though it does take some time to carry out that building. All classes have access to the toolbox and can therefore fortify, but the support class is the most effective at building and has access to unique creations like stationary machine guns. Speaking of all classes having access to the same thing, a massive change coming in BF5 is that all players are going to be able to revive their squad mates. However, these revives will be performed much more slowly and only restore a small amount of health. DICE hopes that this ability to revive your squad mates no matter what class you are will keep your squad together. The Assault/Medic class is the primary healer of the game and he's able to quickly pick players back up and give them 100% of their health. The revive mechanic is now fully animated, with down players needing to be picked up and injected. This animation can be performed at many different angles, meaning you can stay in low cover while carrying out a revive. Another new addition is that downed players can also be dragged out of harm's way and then revived in safety. Players will also no longer self-heal back up to 100% just by waiting on the spot. They will need to go out and seek a medkit. When downed and bleeding out, a player can now shout for help or just give up and accept their fate. When a player dies in this game, the first thing they see is the rest of their squad from a third-person perspective. DICE wants players to immediately see what their squad mates are doing, and you can then spawn in behind your chosen squad mate knowing that it is safe. If the entire squad is wiped out, you get a notification saying that you've been wrecked and you get kicked back to the world map. A squad can then choose where to spawn and see what their fellow players are doing. I think the point here really is to increase team play and encourage people to want to play as part of a squad. The four traditional classes that most people are used to will make their return in this game: Medic, Scout, Support and Assault, but they are further customizable through new archetypes. These are kitted out to fulfill a specific purpose, and the exotic archetypes are even more specialized. For example, the Paratrooper Recon exotic archetype is equipped with a silenced SMG, quiet footsteps, and a garrote wire and other sneaky options. These aren't built to be overpowered, just really good at one specific skill and very situational. For those of you who dislike the lack of self-healing in the game, there is going to be archetypes that have that additional regen option. Other archetypes in the game will grant advantages like agility, flak armor, suppression resistance, and much more. New archetypes granting different playstyles will be added over time. Players will spawn in with reduced resources, meaning less ammo and other supplies in BF5. This introduces an additional gameplay step where the player needs to prepare for those engagements. DICE says that Battlefield 5 is a tactical game, a strategic game, so be prepared for that. To help deal with the added disadvantage players will have at spawn, there will be more ways of getting additional ammo and health from points on the map, and also from dead enemies too. Players are basically being encouraged to make progress after they spawn in, rather than be fully loaded up from the get-go. This method of looting from the dead means that lone wolf players can still be successful though. The impact that reduced resources has on gameplay also adds a new way to balance weapons. More powerful weapons may now come with less ammo and vice versa. The additional preparation step doesn't affect the speed of the game though. DICE has reassured that, saying it's still super fast and high octane action. Players will now react to the environment in a much more realistic way. If you're moving through water, players will run with high knees. If you're running into a wall for cover, the player character will slam against that wall to stop himself. Mud can cause a slip, and a steep incline may result in a stumble. All of this is only seen in third person though, and doesn't affect the movement in your first person view. You won't actually be slipping, you'll just look to be slipping from your fellow players' perspectives. It's all about immersion here, looking around and seeing other players slipping or running into and bracing against the wall without ruining the gameplay experience for you. Once you're killed, a player's ragdoll now interacts with the world through its own physics properties. Bodies can fall into puddles and they'll splash accurately. If you're falling downstairs and hitting a painting, you may cause it to drop on the floor. And again, DICE wants you to feel immersed in the game with these changes. What's more too, those dead bodies are now on the server instead of the client side, and this means that every player sees the body in the very same spot. In BF5, it will be possible to sprint while you're crouching so you can keep a low profile. Players can also perform an action dive to the side while also firing their weapon. While on their back, a player can do a 360 turn with the body twisting and animating correctly, and feet should no longer get caught on the walls and other objects in the environment. While lying on their back, players can also backpedal and keep their gun up. Momentum is also going to be carried through in the player animations. For example, if you jump out of a window, you roll and then you can continue to sprint. You should still be moving at that top speed. Action should basically be more fluid. Big explosions from, say, V1 rockets and other powerful weapons can physically knock players back, and the aim here is to make players feel all the physical forces at play on the battlefield. Those V1 rockets that you saw called in the trailer are through squad reinforcements. When you're playing together as a squad, you'll rack up resource points, and these can be spent on unique and impactful reinforcements like the V1 and the JB2 rockets, a supply drop, a smokescreen barrage, a heavy weapon drop, and hero vehicles too. Now, rather than the Millennium Falcon dropping in to help out, Battlefield 5's hero vehicles will be the flamethrower wielding British Churchill Crocodile and the German Sturmtiger. The vehicle spawns will be similar to Battlefield 1, so if you like that in the game, you'll like it in BF5 too. There will also be different vehicles for the different factions, just like we saw back in Battlefield 4. Vehicles will also now be able to tow stationary items, for example, anti-air guns and other heavy artillery, making for some crazy combinations. A tank pulling an AA gun, that will be possible in Battlefield 5. Gunplay is being revamped with no more random bullet deviation, and this means that weapons can be learned and mastered in this game. Bullets will go where a player is aiming with all that randomness removed. However, bullet drop over longer distances will still remain a factor, so don't worry about that. If it's something you really love about Battlefield, it is for me too. Light machine guns are going to be easier to bipod, with the whole mechanic cleaned up, and they'll also boast bullet penetration. Both LMGs and mounted weapons will be able to rip buildings apart, adding more utility to that support class. There will be a form of suppression in Battlefield 5 when you're being fired at, but it isn't exactly clear on how that will work yet. The spotting system is being completely overhauled, and the developers no longer want players shooting at spotting icons or spamming that tag button. Instead, they want you to focus on actually seeing the enemies with your own eyes on screen. Players will now be able to throw back grenades at your enemies. It's also possible to shoot grenades out of the air as they're travelling towards you. The main symbol of progression in the game is a player's company, and this consists of a collection of your soldiers, your vehicles, and your weapons. As you play the game across all the available modes, these items will evolve to look and play better, and also allow you to customize them just as you want. Now, the claw arm that I know freaked out a lot of people in that trailer is actually some high-end gear that should be pretty rare. Only veteran players should have access to the claw, so don't think that you're going to see every single player on the battlefield running around with this bionic metal arm. DICE wants players to have access to many different customization options, and that's just one of the more far-fetched ones they're putting in the game. Players will be able to customize a lot of things about their soldiers. For example, their character's helmets, their face, their sex, their war paint and clothing, and you'll be able to create some really unique looking soldiers in your company. DICE is moving away from weapon skins in this game, with guns instead having 5 to 7 points of customization. Different sights, muzzles, chassis and more can all be swapped in and out, and these don't all have an impact on how the weapon performs, so you'll be able to have your weapon look exactly how you want it to without worrying about making that weapon weaker. There will still be an individual player rank as well as class and weapon and vehicle ranks too, but there is also a progression within the game's live service and the assignments and challenges there. Tides of War is what that live service is being called, and essentially what it really means is just post-launch support with daily, weekly and monthly content updates that aim to keep players engaged with the game. There will be more to play and more to unlock after launch coming very regularly into the game. There will be much more to play in Battlefield 5 and much more to unlock with this Tides of War service. Tides of War rewards will include new vehicles, new weapons, timed events, dog tags, emblems, face paint and soldier skins, but plenty more as well, I assume. Grand Operations will be the first chapter in the Tides of War live service. There will be 3 daily orders comprised of short focused tasks. Then there will also be special assignments, and they're going to have much meatier requirements and reward something much more iconic in the game. Players have multiple choices on how to complete the special assignments, meaning much more flexibility and less frustration. Players will be able to track up to 4 different assignments at any one time and work towards completing them all simultaneously. There will be a clear roadmap for the up and coming content in the game. DICE wants to keep the communication between the developers and the players flowing, and there should always be something new on the horizon and something to look forward to. With gameplay values now being on the server, tweaks can be made much more quickly in this game. More can be done with server hotfixes, and there's less dependence on client-side patches. And to really show they mean business, EA and DICE have gone ahead and dropped the game's premium pass, meaning no more paying for those new maps or those new modes. They will be available free for every single player to enjoy. In addition to this great news, there will also no longer be battle packs or any other type of loot box featured in Battlefield 5. Players can, however, buy cosmetics through microtransactions, but it will be made clear what they are purchasing, with no game of chance involved at all. While Battlefield 5 officially launches for everyone on October 19th, early access to the game is available through EA and Origin Access. If you're subscribed to those services, you can give the Play First trial a go on October 11th. Those who buy Battlefield 5 Deluxe Edition will be able to play it on October 16th, so that's 3 days before the official launch. There will also be an open beta for the game, so for those of you who will want to give it a bit of a try before you buy it, you're going to be able to do that, though the date is not yet known for the release of it. I will of course keep you up to date when we know more about that open beta. And that's it, 87 things you need to know about Battlefield 5. After hearing all of that, please do let me know what you think of the game in the comment section down below. Are you excited for Battlefield 5, or do you still need to hear more about the game and perhaps actually see some gameplay of it in action? I do know that Battlefield 5 reveal event was pretty divisive. Some of the gaming community really did love what they saw, while others were, let's face it, very disappointed. The truth is though that I think the event didn't do Battlefield 5 justice, as there's so much more to learn about the game and there's so many evolutions to this game from the previous one in the franchise. Either way, I'm going to be keeping you guys informed about any news of Battlefield 5 as we go forward towards release, as I must admit it is a game I'm quite excited for. So if you are new to my channel and did enjoy this video, do be sure to subscribe. Thank you ever so much for watching, do take care, and until next time, adios amigos. So here's a chance to catch up on some of my latest videos if you missed them.